The day my own family threw me out of my father's birthday party, I stood on the sidewalk in broad daylight, holding a gift I could barely afford, while laughter echoed behind the closed glass doors. I remember staring at my reflection in the polished surface, seeing a man in a simple suit that wasn't designer, shoes that weren't branded, and a face that had learned to survive rejection. I wasn't angry at first. I was just small. Invisible. Like I had always been. If you believe in kindness and second chances, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel K1 Heart Stories. Stories like this remind us that no matter how low someone pushes you, your story isn't over yet. It was late morning when I arrived at the luxury rooftop restaurant my older brother Karen had booked for Dad's 60th birthday. The sun was high, reflecting off the glass towers downtown. The place was decorated with white and gold balloons, a violinist playing soft instrumental music, waiters moving around with trays of sparkling drinks. Everyone looked polished. Expensive. Important. And then there was me. My name is Arav Malhotra, the disappointment of the family. The son who didn't join the family construction business. The one who left home at 22 with nothing but a laptop and an idea everyone laughed at. While Karen wore tailored suits and drove imported cars, I spent years in a cramped apartment, coding late into the night, surviving on instant noodles and hope. When I stepped toward the entrance, my aunt's eyes traveled from my shoes to my collar with open judgment. I heard her whisper something about some people not knowing their place. My cousin Ria blocked my path gently but firmly and told me the event was exclusive, that Dad didn't want embarrassing appearances. Her smile was sweet, but her words cut deep. Embarrassing. Because I wasn't wealthy like them. Because I didn't flaunt success. Because I didn't fit their image. I tried to explain that I was invited. I had received a formal message from Karen's assistant. But Ria insisted it must have been a mistake. A waiter looked at me like I was lost. Finally, one of the event coordinators suggested I leave before it became awkward. So I stepped back. The gift box in my hand suddenly felt heavier than my entire past. Inside that box was a vintage wristwatch. Not flashy, not diamond-studded. Just a classic piece my father once pointed at in a store when I was a child. He had said real value wasn't about price but about time. I saved for months to buy it. As I stood there trying to decide whether to walk away or fight to stay, a black SUV pulled up beside the entrance. The restaurant's security team immediately straightened. The manager rushed forward, adjusting his tie. I barely noticed at first. Until one of the guards turned toward me. His eyes widened in recognition. Then, to my shock, he stepped forward and said loudly enough for half the guests near the entrance to hear, "Good afternoon, Mr. Malhotra. We've been expecting you, sir." "Welcome, CEO." The word hung in the air like a thunderclap. CEO. Heads turned. Conversations paused. Even Ria's hand froze mid-gesture. The manager suddenly looked confused, flipping through a tablet. The guard gestured respectfully toward the private elevator reserved for the building's top-floor corporate offices. He addressed me with a tone of genuine respect, explaining that the staff had been informed earlier that the founder of Nexera Technologies might visit the property today. Nexera Technologies. The startup everyone in my family once mocked as a fantasy app. 3 years ago, after dozens of failed pitches and countless rejections, I built a logistics software platform that helped small businesses streamline deliveries. I slept on my office floor. I borrowed money from friends. I missed weddings, vacations, and family gatherings. But slowly, painfully, it grew. Investors came. Partnerships formed. Last month, a multinational firm acquired a major stake. The headlines called it one of the fastest growing tech firms in the region. But I never told my family. I didn't want applause from people who had never believed in me. I just wanted peace. The realization began spreading across the rooftop like wildfire. Guests started whispering. Someone pulled out their phone, probably searching my name. I saw the change happen in real time. Disdain melted into disbelief. Disbelief turned into forced smiles. Karen emerged from inside, confusion on his face. When he saw the security guard standing respectfully beside me, calling me sir, something shifted in his posture. He approached slowly, his confident stride replaced by uncertainty. In that moment, I could have walked past everyone and made a grand entrance. I could have let pride speak. I could have humiliated them the way they had humiliated me. But as I looked beyond the crowd, I saw my father seated at the center table under the bright afternoon sun. His hair was whiter than I remembered. His shoulders slightly bent. He wasn't laughing like the others. He looked tired. And suddenly, none of this was about wealth. It was about years of distance. Of silence. Of never feeling enough. I walked forward, not toward the private elevator, but toward the main entrance where I had just been stopped. The security guard followed respectfully. The crowd parted. My father looked up as I approached. For a brief second, his eyes showed surprise. Then something else. Regret, maybe. Or pride he never learned how to express. I placed the watch box in his hands. I didn't mention the company. I didn't mention the headlines. I just told him I remembered what he once said about time being the only real luxury. His fingers trembled slightly as he opened the box. The sunlight caught the glass face of the watch, reflecting onto his eyes. They watered, though he tried to hide it. Around us, the atmosphere had completely changed. People who once dismissed me now stood in respectful silence. The same aunt who mocked my clothes began praising my hard work. Karen attempted to joke about always knowing I would succeed. But I didn't need their approval anymore. I had built something from nothing. Not just a company, but resilience. Self-worth. A life beyond their expectations. And in that bright afternoon, surrounded by gold decorations and fragile pride, I realized something powerful: success isn't revenge. It's freedom. Freedom from needing validation. Freedom from proving yourself to people who never saw you clearly. Freedom to forgive without forgetting your journey. Before the cake was cut, my father stood up and wrapped his arms around me in front of everyone. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't loud. But it was real. For the first time, I felt seen. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, comment, and share it with someone who needs hope today. And don't forget to subscribe to channel K1 Heart Stories for more stories that remind us of the power of resilience. Special request: comment time proves everything. If you believe patience and hard work always find their moment. As the sun continued to shine over the city that once felt too big for my dreams, I understood that being called CEO wasn't the victory. The real victory was walking back into a room that once rejected me, not with anger, but with grace. And sometimes, that is the richest thing a person can own.